but there is competition for that third place, so you exactly goes through to the grand finals off the back of that qualification spot. You can tell I'm ready and raring to go for this day because I put my glasses on, so I can actually see what's going on now. Which is extremely important. Before I was just guessing. Yeah. But anyway, straight over towards our angle, from Sosnovka up towards shooting range. Dead set through the middle of the map at the moment. So maybe DRS gets out nice and early over towards Neuer straight away. Pachinki open on this side too. I'd be curious to see actually, John, if Mad Bulls drop over towards school and apartments or head down towards Primos with this type of circle. But LGD should be fairly comfortable to head out over towards Rozhok, towards Georgia Paul in crates. Obviously, John, the big thing we're looking at today is that chase between S2G and LGD at the moment. I think LGD currently 6 points ahead in third place, but S2G would love that qualification spot. Not only there, but the prize pool differential is massive, John.
It certainly is. I mean, there is a big jump up in this phase of the tournament when you move into those top three, right? It's $22,000 in fourth place, $80,000 in third place. There is the caveat, of course, that you do go into the survival stage if you're in fourth place and you don't if you're in third, and there's more money to be earned over there. So the potential earnings for a fourth place, if you get first place in the survival stage on top of that, would add up to $48,000. So the drop-off is still really quite significant. That's I'm not going to do live maths because I've been called out on Twitter today, but that's many money.
Come on, I believe in you, bro. That's like 48Ks of money right there. I can do some forms of quick math now and again, but
no, it is 48,000 total, right? But the difference is what I was thinking.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to do the difference because that's
We're not
scary.
going to figure that out. Doesn't exist.
32. There we go. I think that.
Oh, maybe.
I think that's on the money. I think we're all good. We're all good.
Open in the calculator.
Please, no memes on us, please. But yeah, looking at the circle, as this is now a very important day, and we've got to get stuck right into it. It's over towards that western side. Mad Bulls did drop down towards Primos, Enigma Galaxy over towards Pachinki. You know, we did hear Sandstorm talking about how they'd like Enigma Galaxy not to continue to have this drop-off, but again, every single day has been very rough for them. But I'm looking over towards BTR at the moment. My name P pulls out the pistol.
Oh, playing around the rock, one bullet lands. There's backup coming through as well for Bigatron. Has to go for the reload. Hang on a minute, the shot's coming through. Oh, it's Sky coming in. The auto shotgun, and Sky only has to send away. Didn't have a weapon, only the buggy. A weapon in its own right, sure, but when you hear the bark of that shotgun, you're gonna be getting out of there. We are getting back to a Luxy and Zuxy combo, but Black, this time around we've thrown Liquid in instead of Misery.
I mean, Liquid was kind of the mainstay, I'd say, alongside with Jem Foster. Misery was a bit of a different pick for me coming into the beginning of this match. So still pretty happy with the way that he had performed. He was doing some good stuff as an off-angle specialist. I think Liquid is overall a very good player. He was one of the first pickups that BTR went for after they did lose Ryzen and they had to go for a bit of a reform on the roster. And I think that he has played pretty well yesterday, and honestly I think it's more of a case of BTR with Zuxy and Luxy just needing a little bit of a break. I think this is a massive change in performance for BTR overall, being in sixth place, being quite dominant towards the middle of the pack in this lobby. Although it's not a return to form of BTR of old, where they were just smashing and dominating every other team inside the lobby here, this is great news for them. And you can imagine that there would be a little bit of burnout from Zuxy or Luxy towards the third day. And if they've got substitutions to bring in and give them that break that they might need, this is absolutely fine. Again, Zuxy and Luxy, one of our most long-standing duos in the entirety of PUBG Mobile, with a lot of accolades underneath their belt. So for BTR, I think that's fine. They're going to have Liquid jumping in, and this is BTR's last day to maybe jump up a few rankings, get a few more points, but it's unlikely that they'll pass DRS or pass S2G, with there being quite the point differential between them, and it's around about 35 points, we'd say, up towards S2G. 36, if you want to be exact.
Careful.
I know. Very careful. We can't be doing any generalizations these times.
Look at that top 5 rate for Influence Kevin towards the top. 77.8% in the top 5 on Erangel. That is a crazy good scoreline. Burra Madeira similarly strong, but I mean that 77 really does push it just that next step further. There haven't been super large numbers of Erangel just yet over the last couple of days. We do play it for 3 games a day, so we've had 9, but that still isn't a massive sample size. But even to get on 9, 77% there is really, really solid stuff. And it's why Influence Kemen are still in that conversation. Buriram obviously chasing that down.
Yeah, not a good start for Buriram either, losing one of their players over towards BTR. We saw this for Mad Bulls yesterday, losing one of their players very early in the game. They're still able to get very far into it, though, on that our angle that we just played yesterday as our final match. Again, though, it did hamper them. They weren't able to pick up that chicken dinner as 4 rivals had their 4 players on board. Were able to leverage that kind of result from them. But again, Buriram, a lot of this matters right now, and you can't really have a bad game, because if they give any chance for Influence Kemen to make that lead happen right at the beginning of the day as well, you don't want to be playing catch-up at this point in time.
No, it's pretty much a death sentence if you let them extend that lead early on. They were able to chase it down once before, but I mean, asking to do it twice might be just too tall of an order. However, there's still 3 of them alive, and they're perfectly capable of getting pretty deep into this game, so hopefully they can keep on going.
Yeah. I mean, you saw Kengzo yesterday on Miramar. If you missed that was a really good Snake performance. I think
King Kengzo.
I know King Kengzo is the King Cobra of the lobby a lot of times, which is great to see. And I think that you'll usually just see these grass vipers, a lot of these lobbies in Miramar, where they don't do too much unless you get too close to them. But Kengzo's kind of more like the boa constrictor. He's happy to get into the action and start to constrict some of these teams all as a solo player. So even with Buriram down players, they're absolutely fine to get big points towards the end of the game and comfortable getting in towards that top 5. Circle, though, again, over towards this western side of the map, meaning a lot of teams are now moving their way down. S2G headed underneath. Everest actually head over towards the southern compound on that side, so they're fairly dead central. LGD currently is trying to gather as much information as possible outside of hospital, which is very typical of LGD. Informational based team over on this side, which I really like to see.
S2G spotted out a Soaz, who we saw in the interview earlier. They're not going to be too chuffed about that for Box in 12th place as well. Disastrous time for it to happen. And similarly, S2G picking up points early. Good news for their chase for that 3rd place instant qualification bubble, jumping up to that 80k.
80k, beautiful stuff for them. I mean, that's what they'd like to end up on, and S2G are already getting a chunk into it. LGD very close by as well, could be their next targets on the list, John. It's a bit worrying for them. And with Hamzy G and Kelsey currently really having the time of their lives in this tournament, you are a little bit worried, because it could be one of those days where S2G just pops off. And that is what you always have to be worried about if you're going up against S2G. And being in 4th place with a great springboard to leap off of, you know, if this is one of those days where S2G gets a little bit of momentum early, LGD is going to have to do a bit more than just getting to those late game circles to stay ahead of S2G.
As the circle shifts on that south, teams will move in. Southeast side, you can see there's basically nobody playing there. It's the open fields to the southwest of Pachinki. It's really, really tricky to hold out. Everybody wants the hills to the north or playing around Quarry. Obviously, south of Everest, a little bit more desirable. There's a couple of really strong compounds there.
Box Gaming make their way into a very central position. Lost a player from S2G early on, though, so they will be down a man. In the meantime, S2G is looking to get further in themselves. LGD off in the distance, though. Suki and MVM looking to crest over this ridge side. Think better of it, in fact. They see players coming over the top. YZZ providing a lot of information back across to them. With the DP, both these players have on hand. Very accurate weapon, especially when you're proned. Both players going for the crouch, though, to try and eliminate as much recoil as possible from that weapon.
LGD fending off their 3rd place in a standoff with S2G. Influence Kemen embroiled with Buriram, but at the moment closer to a couple of the other teams. S2G taking heavy flak, Razy low, as they move into position to defend. A lot of damage being sent over towards S2G right now. And MVM just scouting this out. Team Queso should have sightlines over this way. I don't think this is a crash, but it's very, very tense on that area. The rotations out of there are going to be really, really chaotic.
Good, Tunny. There's the smokes over on that top side. Nick Galaxy, though, Freak with one down towards him. We'll find that knock, and now the Infinity in a little bit of a difficult position. Now, this is one of the teams we wanted to focus on, considering they're in 11th place. Nick Galaxy ahead of them just by a little bit. 4 rivals were able to overtake them yesterday. And the Infinity taking so much casualties so early on really does open things up for teams underneath them like Box Gaming and Mad Bulls to try and get those points to get themselves back in towards the running here. Even MTech Storm, they had some good matches yesterday with some high elimination counts. This is a possibility for them to, in fact, start to leap upwards.
Infinity trapped 2 in the buildings. Fairly unlikely that they'll get too much further. I mean, they could just try and survive it out, but breaking top 10 would be an achievement for them at this stage. Budoram with 3 after losing a player in that initial scrap with Bigatron. They're playing on the northeast side around the road, just to the northeast of Gatka. Now going to be holding out there for just a little bit longer while they wait for the circle to come in. A wide split on the western side for R8. And a south shift means that it is going to go towards a Mad Bull's position there on the southwest.
Agonax a little bit further ahead of them. S2G also swinging down towards Mad Bull's spot, in which case Monkey in effect might come into the assist. They do have high ground positioning with that compound itself, and it looks like Monkey in effect are going to try and go regroup with the rest of their team here, which would be the smart decision to try and assist them versus S2G. They'll have to be very careful not to get eliminated on their approach though. Nick the Galaxy takes a couple of shots from Budoram as they just send it across the fields here, John.
They're just putting some lead back in their direction. If they can catch something, great. Suppressing fire, more useful. DRS, though, hold the top of the hill that they're looking to try and summit. They will see that silhouette, start to go for the skirt. A little bit of a tag there from Tiger, nicely found, but diversion is on. Box not quite in the buildings close by, so that'll be a little bit of sanctuary for Budoram as Sky Only just goes straight over the top of it. Not a care in the world.
I mean, they've sent all the way downwards, which is fairly impressive. Managed to get towards a position just underneath Box Gaming. It might not be the best position in the world, but it certainly gives you some kind of sanctuary. A little bit worrying to even peek out these windows, though, with Box Gaming being able to have some oversight on that way. But 2-3-3 teams, I don't think they can be too unhappy with this one. Mad Bull still holding out S2G, S2G holding out R8, so a little bit of a train going on this side of the map. Gem Foster takes shots from Nigma Galaxy. I think Nigma Galaxy realised just how important this day is to them. They cannot continue to fall off. Feels like they have made a couple of changes in their regard. They need to hold on to this position now because these are one of the teams that has slipped further and further and further down throughout the days. Now in 10th place from a 2nd place finish at the beginning of day 1.
Ooh, Titan nailing the shot over towards Hamodi. He said they can't afford to fall off. That's not the way to start it out. The smoke blooms. They want this Rares. Ralph will commit for that. Titan not going to commit for the push, but instead put those nades in and just try and keep this position suppressed. They know they can't afford to expose themselves on the flanks. There's so many teams waiting in the wings in this area. Currently, you've got LGDO on the west, Bigatron on the east. Behind you, you've got MTech Storm. Of course, if you're focusing on the front, you know they're there, but there's 4 teams very, very close by and ready to pounce.
MVM. Moving slowly but surely. This is over towards the centre of the map itself. MTech Storm towards that northeast side. R8 still trying to get through the guys from S2G. Razy is up towards the north though, so it is currently just a 3 from S2G. He's providing a bit of a outpost for the rest of S2G to regroup on top of. I think Bandar should have spotted at least one of the players from S2G, but will be slowly enveloped by the blue behind the vehicle as well. This is a bad position to be in. Gets at least a smoke out towards the road, but I don't think that's going to save him.
Out in the blue. Silas knows he's there. If R8 finish in a poor game here, it's pretty much curtains for their hopes of moving further forwards. Right at the bottom of the tables, 18 points behind right now. more behind the rest of them. Luckily, the bullets run out for R8, but Silas will move forwards, and their reposition, it does get them in the circle. And actually, somehow they managed to skirt around the edge of it. Not entirely sure how that one worked out, but woo! Finally, there's the shots coming on through. Zemtech Storm getting eliminated in the meantime. I think there was a scrap with LGD in the wings of this. And LGD picking up 3 eliminations. It's good news.
Yeah, I mean, they had to grab some eliminations here, especially with 3 elims going over towards the side of, 5 elims, sorry, going over towards S2G to make something happen. And in this situation, LGD take a crash from Zemtech Storm, easily find themselves the full squad wipe, though. Very nicely done. Mad Bulls took a knock over towards Monkey. Again, this needs to be a restabilize and fast because S2G is quickly coming in for the crash here over on that western side. In the meantime, Buradam look to send up towards box game. This is an aggressive push coming through from Buradam. They want this position.
And break is down. Remember, they lost Soaz earlier on. So they are just the 2 of them, Trismo and Bensu, left standing against the 3 of Buradam now. Kengzo cooking the nade on the front. A descent from the hillside as we tune in with Influence Kemen actually taking a fight against Titan. Enigma Galaxy not quite getting that oversight just yet, but I imagine it's only a matter of time. Better wants to find these flushes, will be able to get one, and Titans will fall back over to the Buradam engagement in the meantime. Tiger sprays around the door frame. Sky only, his teammate, is going to fall, but Bensu cannot stand the test as Kengzo puts the final nail in. Box eliminated.
Buradam, again, a force to be reckoned with. Center of the circle as well. It's a really, really key compound that are able to pick up here. Enigma Galaxy, worth fending off against Titans. I'm trying to find some eliminations outside. Do get 3 for their troubles, but it was Influence Kemen to come in, finish the job towards that team. Titans having a little bit of a fall off after their success towards day 1 and day 2. Luxy, though, goes down from BTR. These guys are holding down towards that southeast side, so Enigma Galaxy have the swivel on, the 360 cam available to them, making sure they're seeing everything that just happened around on this map. In the meantime, Mad Bull's still fending off from the guys of S2G with 2 backstops on top of the hill outside Quarry, and 2 players playing up front. Mad Bulls will remain quite calm and collected for the time being. I think this is the smart move as well. They don't have to move too much, but S2G have to move in towards their position. They'd like to have a strong spot within the circle. So keeping it very, very safe for the time being, allowing S2G to come to them.
Staying alive is of the utmost importance, especially with box going down. Team Queso similarly under pressure. And out on this western side, they've got a difficult move ahead of them. The blue zone's right there. They're going to try and swing through. The question is, where do they try and approach towards? Do they try and get to that ridge line? But the Mad Bulls have broadside. And Aegon XIA are really going to have control over on that north as well. They might not have another choice.
Hamzy G goes to scout down towards DRS's position. You wonder if he's going to get knocked. But I mean, Hamzy G, very, very good member when it comes to those 1v1s. And it's only Yante down there. Though he is a significantly strong player from DRS themselves. Worrying slightly. I8 gets crashed on.
4 rivals rolling up on into the shack. And immediately taking down the player in there. Not too much of an issue, but now people know that they are in there. And of course, there is an answer from Blade. A knock over towards Voki. Immediately looking to try and stick that res. IQ wants to put a nade in through the window and ruin their day, but gets knocked for the trouble. Doesn't quite get that answer. Looks like it did go through the window, but I think it went out the door on the other side as well.
Somewhat unfortunate. Influence came in. Look to fight against Enigma Galaxy. Freak, though, with an incredible play. Takes down 2. Hamodi in the backlines, not supporting. Little Boy all on his own. It's just one more elimination, and Freak steps up, tries to move out. Molotov over towards the tree. Gives him a little bit more time to work with. Nade over the top, a little bit short, but Enigma Galaxy. Freak is so low here. One nade would do the trick.
Oh, he gets out of the way of that one. Freak looks for the flush, steps up after the heal. Hamodi low. It's a 1v1 between these 2 players. Freak versus Little Boy. Enigma Galaxy, I mean, they've had their fall off. Can they keep it going here against Influence Kemen? This is also really notable for Influence Kemen Blank. Their points total is not safe from Buradam. Even though they lost a player early for Buradam, if Influence Kemen go down here, it's very much a closable gap.
I mean, this is what we've been talking about the entirety of this stage, as well as the fact that if a team has the guts to actually fight for a priority compound, a lot of times they'll find themselves in a position to get lots more points in the games. And Buradam, even with just the 3 players they had during this game, they went up against Box Gaming. They took that position over towards that eastern side in a very prolific compound inside this circle. Now they can play from there with confidence. LGD still have to make their way in from that northeast side, most likely going to close around them as well. So Buradam in a very good position now with 3 eliminations to maybe jump over the top of Influence Kemin. Now, Influence Kemin, very, very good at staying alive as that single player, getting into the top 5 regardless of the result they have at the beginning of the game. Though with so many targets over on this side of the map, I don't know how likely it is for Little Boy to get into the circle without being spotted by LGD, Freak, or Buradam.
Bigatron on the south side. Don't stop S2G on their first descent. Looks like they think they might be still up there. The smokes, though, should be a little bit of a clue. Bigatron moving a little bit further north. Killer from DRS crawling with back to the blue. Is there a potential for a backstab there? I wonder if they are aware of that as well. Bigatron maybe being caught unawares a little bit. Influence Kemin eliminated in 12th place, and this is a big chance for Buradam to take that top spot back in the compound that they hold.
Yeah, that's 100% what I assume would happen here. I think it was very unlikely from that position, like I said before, for Lil Boy to find their way in versus the guys from LGD. And Circle shifts up towards Buradam once again. A really big chance for them. Remember, we said a lead at this point in the day is something that's very hard to come back from. There's a ton of pressure. Only 5 matches to go after this. Team Queso looking for the final member from I8. Does find it as Ghost takes himself down with an nade. Tries to deny as many points as possible.
Team Queso need them desperately as well. S2G, hang on a minute. I think that might have been knock, a flush. Are they down and out? I think they are. So no chance for their run towards that 3rd place spot. And LGD going to be chuffed to bits with that. Speaking of leads as well, they are also near that compound that Buradam currently holding the south side of. They should be really strong and set up to get a lot of points this lobby.
100%. Down to 7 teams now. BTR, though, can't ignore them. 5 elims at the moment with 4 players alive on the high ground. Up towards that south, they will have to move into the circle at some point. LGD take a knock from Buradam. That sets them up again, another 3v3 here. Buradam just have been so incredibly strong throughout the entirety of this tournament, constantly getting better. And I don't think there's any player inside this team that I think is a weak link. And I think that is what makes them so strong, regardless of the amount of members they have on side. I mean, Kengzo, extremely good at being aware in the side of a lot of these lobbies. Sky Only, just being a great off-angle specialist. Tiger, just a great fragger overall. And I mean, you've lost probably your best fragger on the team in My Name Pete. Doesn't really matter so much to him, though.
They have got so many tricks up their sleeve, it's certain. As the shots from Bigatron try and exert control from their hilltop. Team Queso want to take 4 rivals out of the mix. 4 rivals charged away from that bubble position earlier yesterday. Black stopping the pan on it as well. There goes the crash. 4 rivals will fall. Will not be able to repeat that performance in the last game they had yesterday. And that's going to open up the door to put them back in danger.
Madball's still in a strong position though, John, and down to 16 with a lot of the big hitters around them being removed, like Box Gaming. The Infinity probably the only other worry towards the guys with Madballs in 11th place at that bubble. But again, a strong position, 4 players alive, Team Queso down to just 3 at the moment with 1 not coming their way. Madballs might even be able to take some good shots over towards them. BTR is the really big contender for them though, on that high ground. Skills is already going down. This is bad news. They're in a bit of a pinch at the moment, John.
They can't really afford to get back up to Skills either. They can't designate the effort to go for that push as Team Queso come in and effect fall to the side swipe as well. It is just not going to work out. They are really crunched in at this stage, and they're not finding these picks as an answer. 1 player from Bigatron gets knocked, but that's easily resible on the south side, and Team Queso are just putting so much pressure in that Madballs don't have the time to reposition and get the favorable fight with Bigatron.
Yeah, this is a pinch and a half. Team Queso up to 8 eliminations as well, very easily. Should be able to jump over the top of Madballs during this game. Monkey going down, now just Zerich alive. Final player, 6 teams remaining. Won't get a huge amount of points in this game, even with just 2 eliminations they have on side. Zerich has to live for longer, set up this fight between the 2 teams, but Zuxi is able to find that final player from Madballs, and they will go down. Even with the 4 players unable to put up a big result here, setting themselves between 2 teams. Not the best of positions for themselves, but BTR have come in with a great game this time around on that high ground. Buradam will have to go to the outer edges of their compound to continue playing, but LGD, they move up. They see an opportunity here, John.
They're moving straight on into the back of Team Queso on the north side. 3 players rock on up. Suki sends high, drops the smoke to play the cover around. Will be looking to try and peek out then. Might spot Scream at the back if he peeks out wide, but Tiger is there for the strike. CC as well, under pressure, takes another bullet. Suki's down in the meantime as well. Team Queso trading nades. Suki low, very, very low, in fact, getting flushed out. And the nades are just pouring over towards LGD. That entire push is dismantled. Team Queso hold it out with the side swipe from Tiger. And the last player for LGD left outside the zone.
A nade comes backwards. Kengzo almost burns himself down. But 10 eliminations for Team Queso. They'll easily jump up a little bit more in this game, maybe in towards a position to punch through outside of the elimination bracket. But BTR, what a game this has been from them. 4 players still alive. Zuxi doing some serious work. Buradam want to leave, but now as BTR gets further forward, takes the opportunity to try and eliminate, get rid of Team Queso. They'll control the entirety of that western side. Still, there's work to be done as of yet, John.
Zuxi playing forwards. They want to stop Team Queso from getting any further. Bigatron have to be careful. That rolling land that dips away from Bigatron on their right flank is giving them cover from the other teams right now. But as soon as they have to leave, that will all change, and they'll need to be much more careful. Zuxi playing up top of the backstop. Team Queso hesitant. I mean, you would be. Moving into this late stage, this is their chance to really have a massive, massive game, put a massive dent in the differences at the bottom of the tables and potentially get a little bit further in this tournament.
Yeah, going down in 5th place would be a real shame for them, especially with YZZ still up. Again, with the 4 players, they have a very good chance here. Circle doesn't really center up for anyone in particular. Moves off towards that eastern side. I think BTR at this point in time would love to, again, take that high ground towards their advantage. Reyes finds LGD, puts them in a better position again. To 4th place, at least in this game for Team Queso. The Infinity also in a struggle bus position. We'll have to move out, jumping out these windows. It's not going to be easy with Buradam holding them down as well. I think Buradam's absolutely done enough here in this game to find themselves the lead they were looking for over Influence Kevin at the start of the day. You can really never count this team out. They are just so dominant in every single one of these circles.
Infinity going to have to hop out and go for a little bit of a jog. In the Buradam ends. Who's he actually hopping into a vehicle right next to Tiger? Is this a sneaky play? I feel like it might be. Waiting for them to run out and maybe try and reposition with it. Hop out, get an LM, get a knock, if you can.
Looks he's got such an important position in this engagement, but Liquid's been laid down this entire time. Finds at least 1 knock here, but Jem Foster incredibly low as well. But Luxie does come in clutch, finds at least 1 on towards them. And that's the entirety of the team taken down. An extremely good spot from Luxie. He knew he had to make that count with a Mini 14. And he's got the M249 for the late game as well.
Ooh, Tiger's corner compromise, has to push out for the fight and will trade through it well. The teammates handling business on the other side, and both of the Infinity will fall. Mela and Nuzi will leave 2 teams alive, Buradam and Bigatron.
Again, the lead was not massive coming through from a couple of teams above BTR. I didn't know if it would be possible for them to get into a much higher placing. But with this game, at the start of the day, BTR might set themselves up for a position to even challenge 3rd place if they continue on their trajectory. Jem Foster looks down towards Buradam, takes some good shots and holds them back up inside the building, which is right on the edge of the blue here, John.
Was quite a jump up on those tables. Can Bigatron put a dent in that? start their journey.
limbs.
3 players are there, 11 eliminations, you're right, and they really do control the exit from Buriram. It's really good news. Gem Foster repositioning to try and exit them from the lobby. Buriram, 1 player left, it's just Tiger. Sprays over towards Gen Foster. The pillar keeping him safe, back into the smoke, but really, where do you go at this stage? There's no way out. There is no clean position. Luxy just putting down lead time after time. Swaps it out, gets the reload, and the sprays are good. Tiger fades back into the blue zone, thinks better of it. And Bigatron, you can tell they're chuffed to bits with that, and they should be. What a way to exert control from the south side.